Hey, Dr. Clark here with another financial mathematics video. This time we're looking at bonds, so let's get started. So we've got three main ideas. The first is what is a bond? The second, just a bunch of vocabulary that gets used when we look at bonds. And then the last one is how do you price bonds? Okay. So first, a bond is basically just an agreement between a borrower and a lender. Okay, oftentimes there's like municipal bonds where a city or a government issues a bond. You can also have federal bonds, or a company could issue a bond. And then they're purchased by either individuals or companies that act as lenders in this case. So a city could raise money for a project, individuals or banks could buy those bonds, and then that city would pay back interest on the bonds. The term of the bond is the length of time that the bond is issued until the final payment is made. And what usually happens with a bond is, let's say it's a $1,000 bond. You would give them $800 now, and they would pay you back $1,000 in 3 years or something like that. And the amount that you pay now for how much you get back would depend on the interest rate, essentially. But generally, you pay in less, and then you get more back. But you give it all at once, and they pay it back all at once. So that's different than a loan in the sense of a loan usually has regular payments, but bonds are sort of pay in once, get out once. Okay, now some vocabulary that's important to you. So the redemption value is the amount that's paid from the bond issuer to the bondholder at the end of the bond term. So if it was a $1,000 bond, you would get $1,000 back in 5 years or whatever. Okay, there's also the term, which is how long it takes. The yield rate is the interest rate earned by the investor. So if it's a 3% interest rate assumed, then you would essentially figure out using the interest rate how much would it cost now for me to get $1,000 at the end of the bond. So is it $800 now to get $1,000 later, or is it $900 now to get $1,000 later? Well, the interest rate would determine how much that is, and that's called the yield rate. So there's an assumed interest rate at play. Now, one interesting thing that can happen with bonds is you can have a coupon. And a coupon is a regular payment that comes out during the bond. So it could be, say, a 5-year bond, but then every 6 months you get a little coupon. So maybe a small amount. Maybe it's a $10,000 bond, and every 6 months you get $500. So those are called coupons, or periodic payments made from the bond issuer to the investor throughout the term, typically paid out every 6 months. So semi-annual is typical. And there's a coupon rate that tells you how much the coupon size is. So let's say it's a $10,000 bond and the coupon rate is 10%, then you would get $1,000 coupons every 6 months until the bond is over. Okay, now 10% is a pretty high rate, but that's the idea. So you multiply the coupon rate by the face value, and that gives you the coupon size. And it's sort of typically semi-annual is when they're released. Okay, then the face value of the bond is the value multiplied by the coupon rate to find the coupon size. So that's the idea. So if you said it's a $10,000 bond and your coupon rate was 10%, then the face value is that $10,000. Okay, so we got a lot of terms here, but it's essentially just understanding the language that we use when we talk about bonds. Okay, now the last thing we want to talk about is pricing. So how do you figure out what would I have to pay you now to get a $1,000 bond? Okay, well, that depends on two things. Obviously, it's the assumed interest rate. We're going to call that J. And then the face value of the bond, which is, how much are they going to pay me back at the end of the bond term? Okay, and then R is the coupon rate. So if there's coupons, then that's going to raise the price of the bond because they're going to be paying me back, right? So you need to factor in both the coupons and the bond itself, all based on the interest rate. And it's actually a very nice, simple formula. So if you take the face value, you divide by 1 plus j to the n, or in the second half of that equation, if you look at nu to the n, that's the discount rate, right? Or the discount factor. So that just sort of pulls back a $1,000 bond. Well, we have to sort of go back in time with interest. So that's dividing by 1 plus j to the n, and that tells you the present value of that future payment. Okay, so that's the first part. And then you've got to add to it the value of the coupons. Well, F is the face value, R is the coupon rate, so that tells you this F times R gives you the size of the coupons. And then how many are paid out? Well, that's basically an annuity. It's regular payments. And we have a formula for an annuity. It's that A angle N formula, which is the present value of future payments. So FR is the coupon size, A angle N gives you how many annuity payments, and so that just gives you the total bond price. And then you just add those together because you're going to get a lump sum at the end plus the coupons, and that's the bond pricing. All right? So it's a nice formula. It's very clean, and it's connected. You can think of a bond really as a lump sum plus an annuity in a sense, and it's really just the language that changes. So we already have all the mathematics for it. All right. So essentially that's bonds. Just take some time to get used to the words, look at that bond pricing formula until it makes sense, and you can think about it in terms of the annuity plus the discount factor. And we'll see you in class, and we'll tackle the exploration then.